Hi there, I'm Kasha from Kasha and Tech, and in today's video I'll be explaining to you the difference between HDMI in and HDMI out. So, knowing this terminology is going to be really helpful because you'll find these two ports in your everyday life, solely because these are the most common types of HDMI ports. And so let's jump right in. So, in this video I'll be covering three different topics. Firstly, the definition of HDMI in and HDMI out. Secondly, the difference between these two. And lastly, the use case scenarios of these HDMI ports. There are two different types of HDMI ports. HDMI in, short for HDMI input, and HDMI out, short for HDMI output. And these are the main ones you'll come across in your everyday life, although there are some variations. HDMI input is an HDMI port that takes in data via the HDMI cable. An example might be your TV or your monitor inputting data from your console or laptop, but you will rarely find this on PCs or laptops. And HDMI output, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of HDMI input, because an HDMI output port sends out information via the HDMI cable to a device that has an HDMI input port. Because you can't have two of the same. Let's say you had HDMI output and output. They're both going to be sending out the data, and it's the same thing for input and input because they're both going to be taking in data. And so there has to be the opposites, HDMI input or output opposites. An example might be your connecting console, which has an HDMI output port because it sends out display data to your display device, which has an input port. Say like a PS4 sending out information to your monitor or your TV. So if you know the definition of these two HDMI ports, the difference is a no-brainer. One takes in data and one gives out. So that's output and input respectively. And so here are some of the use case scenarios of these HDMI ports. And if you're someone who is familiar with computers and works with them on a daily basis like I do, you probably already know some of these examples and they can pop up in your head like this. But if you don't know them, here are some examples. So the first one is you connecting your console or whatever device you have here, or whatever video game device you have here, Nintendo Switch, an Xbox, PS4, any video game console, to an external display device here, maybe like a TV, a monitor, or any display device of your choice. And we can actually figure out what HDMI ports each other have. If we know one of them, let's say we know what the PS4 console has. It has an output port because it gives away data. And so we know what the other one is. It's an input port because if the connection should work, it's opposites. And so here's the second example, and this could be you connecting your PC to an external monitor, right? So that's the end of the video, but don't go yet, because this is the first episode of a new YouTube series that I'm launching, and it's called 2 Minute Tech. It's basically a short and concise way to acquire some technological knowledge on the go. And so this is the first episode, and I'll see you on the next one.